Money, money, money.
Ugh, dear me. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Glad to have you. Happy New Year, and obviously for yesterday, Happy Lunar New Year. For the fact that I missed that. Yep. Just like me to be tardy as hell. Just on the shits and giggles. Welcome in, Ozpin. I hope that you're doing well. Hopefully your work is going well. And so on and so forth. Thank you for the bits. Annoyingly, none of my notifications activated for that, but thank you. You're very much appreciated. Let's swap over so that the battlefield control has now been established. We're just going to look at the face of CABAL for a little bit. Just imagine this is me, okay? So, to all intents and purposes, this is my face at this moment in time. I don't really have all that much going on, and I just fancied having a chat more than anything to sort of regain things going on, let everyone know what's happened to me, because the last thing that I did for 2024 to sort of end it all out was the Wheel of Struggle. It was really, really fun, actually. I quite enjoyed it. As there's not really going to be any gameplay, you just feel free to sort of sit down and just tune out as if this is white noise. Because I sure as hell don't have anything else for it. So 2025, we've already started the year, and things are interesting. So I've actually written a little list in an attempt to script something out for what this is. So I'll go through what I'm wanting to say about it, and then around the end, basically chat with you until either we stop or whatever. Sorry you didn't have music in the background. I was listening to music, but for some reason OBS did not want to pick it up initially. I was listening to some Frank Lepaki music. Good stuff, good stuff. So, to anyone who's brand new or already knows me in some form of capacity but needs it reinstating, hi, I am Flamewheel. Sometimes I'll be called by my name Steve, but otherwise I am known as Flamewheel, and I am a voiceover artist who does, well, fan-dubs, mainly, and mods for the Command & Conquer community, for the modding scene. I've done quite a lot of that recently for free, and it's good fun. I enjoy doing it. Don't really want it to stop if I can help it. And that's kind of where the saying goes for that. I don't really have anything going on. Well, I say that. There's two free gigs that I'm doing. Free gigs. One of them's going to get me paid, so that's nice. We're still working out and trying to iron out the details of how much I'll be paid for and so on and so forth, but I'll be in officially a game where I will be paid as the voice actor for that, which is wonderful. It is by the name of the game Warlock's Gauntlet. Spelt like that. And it's by a friend of mine. I will actually give him a shout out here. Arte Buklas. He is a good friend of mine, and he is the sole developer of a number of these games, and he's currently working on Warlock's Gauntlet, which you can play a free demo at the moment on Steam. Worth a look. Make sure you enjoy it. It's a good fun thing. So, that's kind of the intro for that. So, may as well get on to some of the points. Some of the background that I've been in, when I've not been doing voiceovers, has been, well, basically nothing. Sort of gone from nothing, gone back to nothing. What have I lost? Nothing. It is the joke kind of thing. No, I've got a loving family. They take care of me, and I'm happy for that, and I love them to bits for it. But at the moment, I am currently jobless and, for all intents and purposes, penniless. Hey, Silent. Yes, this is CABAL that you are looking at right now. It's just a face. Think of it as me for the moment. I'll get to why we're staring at CABAL a little bit. But yeah. So, jobless and, to all intents and purposes, penniless. Basically, my voiceovers now are at the stage of, that is the only way I can get income, if I will ever get income out of it. That is the hope. But until then, I'm doing some of it for free, mainly to get spread. I'm after clout for it. It'll do me a world of good to try and get at least something from that. So around sort of arse end of November, going into my birthday in 2022, I believe it was when I first started work, and I had worked for a year and a half. But then I amicably split with the business that I was doing in July of the 2nd. I basically was fed up of the work, and it was kind of annoying with the way that it was going. It had some problems at that place, a lot of aggro here and there, and I kept getting into really, really nasty arguments with staff. It was not a healthy environment in any way, shape, or form. And it didn't help that I was basically with family as well at that point. Extended family, bless, but family. So, yeah, sort of 2nd of July 2024, that was when I lost my job and basically said, yeah, I'm done. And I've so far not had any work since. So, jobless, penniless, and limbless. Maybe not limbless, but you know where I'm coming from. It's pretty bad. Pretty rough. But we manage. We'll do. We'll make something of it. Fast forward to sort of the 4th of January, so for this year. I was faffing about doing a load of BIOS updates while I was still on Windows. This is where I'm going to lead into something right now. Thank you for snoozing that. The ads that it... Anyway, so around the 4th, my Windows OS broke on my NVMe. I basically had no way of being able to boot up to Windows. It was just booting up to the BIOS, which was grim. It was sad. But that basically left me in a position of I didn't really have any other choice but to go forward with what I had planned. I had said to a number of groups that I was speaking with at any point in time that if for whatever reason Windows 10 screws up and I only have the option of either going Windows 11 if I decide to update it to that, which I don't want to, or take Linux, I was going to go for Linux. So on the 7th of January, I became a Fedora Linux user. The migration had started, and I got comfy. There was a lot of growing pains to go with this, and obviously the certain tweaking of things is going to need to be continuous. Audio, for example, needs to be done in such an OCD manner for me in order for it to work properly and do what it's supposed to do. But this basically means if I want to play any game, I've got to boot it through Wine, or some form of Wine, or through Proton, which basically is Wine for Steam. That's how I'm going to be able to play games on this computer at this moment in time. And, well, that's great. The fact that I am using Fedora, which is the distro I went with, it's technically called Ultramarine, but it's built on the Fedora Linux build. And we went with KDE Plasma. I did anyway, because I thought that was a good idea at the time. GNOME felt a little bit weird and complicated, and I wasn't sure about it. But there are definitely growing pains that this has. For one, my arcade stick doesn't quite work properly. No matter what I do, and I've not seen any way to change firmware or anything like that. So, currently fighting games, if I ever did decide, do you know what, I just fancy streaming a fighting game, is currently off the table. I will need to figure something out with that eventually. Soon, trademark. There's going to be a lot of that. You are going to hear a lot of soon coming around. But, yeah, Linux is just going to be basically weird and wacky and wonderful, and I'm just going to learn to just build with that, and it's going to be great. Hopefully, anyway. So that probably then leads you to wonder, well, okay, Flame, what's the plan then? If your main desktop that you're using is going to have Linux, well, are you going to dual boot? No, I ain't dual booting. I am pure Linux now. The only way that I will quote unquote do a dual boot system is if I build myself another computer, or, and this actually leads on to my next part of the topic, going into a mini PC. I've been wanting to get one of these Nooks to all intents and purposes. These like small form factor computers that basically are just little miniature reactors that do what they need to do. My plan was make that thing into an emulation machine so it basically runs like a home console for everything that was plug and play. I could put in my fight stick to play fighting games on there. I could plug in like my Sinden light gun, do some light gun games. You name it, it was possible. It was going to get done. And that was something that I was thinking about as an idea, because I was like, yeah, that sounds really, really cool. Why don't I do that? So, a mini PC is most definitely on the cards for me to look into, and surprisingly enough, for something that, alright, is like 100 odd kind of thing, it's well cheaper than what I currently have, based on what I built, and still within a reasonable estimate of how much money I have, that I could just buy it right now and do it, kind of thing. So that is a plan, that is on the cards, and I'm gonna obviously put that onto a miniature television that I've got in my room. That way I'm just able to play games on that basically from the comfort of my own bed. Just makes it a little easier, makes it a little bit more comfy, so that I'm not always at the battle station. However, I imagine that there will be some moments where that kind of thing will probably interest people. Like, they might actually want to see, what the fuck am I playing? Most of the time it'll probably be like Tekken and Time Crisis, but for that very reason, that was one of the ideas as to why I was thinking of also getting my hands on a capture card. Now, I'm looking at getting an Ava Media capture card because, from what I've been told, they are old reliable. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's really between that and Elgato. And I have a feeling Elgato still has a little bit of teething problems on Linux, whereas I think Ava Media should work out the box and just do what it needs to do. So a capture card is definitely in the works. Obviously, with the mini PC idea that I'm floating around the thought of, there is then also the potential that, obviously because of the capture card, consoles could, I really sort of put that in parentheses, could show up as well. I must admit, I'm not really a collector for consoles, and I just find it easier to just swindle my way around because I am a happy as Larry pirate, and I will quite happily die on that hill because Nintendo could go fuck themselves. Yeah, basically. If I do ever end up with a Nintendo console sort of thing, that's like the Switch or the Switch 2, yeah, that'll be a thing. That'll happen. We have one more snooze. We may as well just let it get to sort of last minute and then hit it. Try and dure it out a little bit further. But, yeah, so consoles could be a potential. Obviously, mini PC is going to be the highest priority if I do go for using a capture card. So that's kind of the hardware side of things. I'm obviously getting more cables, getting more bits and pieces to do whatever I need to do to make those things work. And that's going to be in the plans, so that's going to happen. So now we turn our attention to something that I've been doing basically since I started work, and I was given essentially 5 days off at one point, so I could literally just sit down and play the game, stream every day, and had great times with it. And that was through the history of Pokemon that I was doing. I completed Pokemon Red, and I promised that I would complete Pokemon Yellow with a complete Pokedex. I'm happy to report about the only thing that I now need to catch is the legendaries, and I need to beat the Elite Four. I was able to recover the save file on RetroArch for that particular version of Yellow, so I could actually run it, which will be great. So I will actually be able to now play that game and complete it. So 5 of 5, and then all of the legendary catching that I've got to do is on the cards. That is going to happen, and I am going to make it happen. Obviously, I'm still planning on going through with the rest of the other things that I want to be able to do for that series, because the plan is I'm going to play all of the main Pokemon games. So Red, Blue, all the way to Scarlet and Violet is basically the plan. Like, if it's translated into English, that's the plan, that's how it's going to be, and that's what I'm going to do. gonna be rough, I know, but that's how it'll be. I'm just gonna snooze those ads, because it was like 30 seconds from ads. But we've run out of snoozes now, so if the ads hit, I will just wait. Or try my best to. But yeah, so the Pokemon series, through the history of Pokemon, that is still going to keep going. I'm almost going to finish that. That's going to be great. Another thing that I'm also looking at returning to is speedrunning. I haven't done it in a good long while. The last time that I did a speedrun was actually last year, literally on December. It was before Christmas, I believe. Or was it a little after? It might be after. And it was on the Wheel of Struggle channel. Actually, let's just shout that out. The Wheel of Struggle is currently going through its mini-series. It's doing the Struggle R series at the moment. Wonderful little program to watch. They also have Between Two Bars, which is a podcast between Tata84 and Decky, who will bring in their guests. And the Wheel of Struggle was just dedicated to 5 hours as far as you can with a game. If you beat it, great. Did you do it in less deaths than the person who beat it as well? The points are basically pointless, but they are also everything. So it's all to play for on the Wheel of Struggle. So walk, don't run when you're going to that place. It is a wonderful area. Great personalities on the channel. Great people who show up for their footage and whatever that they decide to do. And please give every member of the Wheel of Struggle a follow. Like, they are absolutely legends. All of them. Every single one of them. They're brilliant. They're amazing. They're great fun. And they are just worth every minute of it. So please, follow them. Follow the channel. So on and so forth. Ads are in 3 minutes. Gee whiz. And I've still got a fair bit to talk about. But yeah, speedruns are, to all intents and purposes, they're going to happen. We're going to have speedruns. I'm going to return to doing my Tenchu speedruns, because that's what I want to do at the moment. I want to try and see if I can reclaim my title of New Game Plus throne from Greenhorn. And I want to also start expanding into other speedruns at the moment. So beforehand, I expanded into Primal, which was made by the same developers who made Medieval on the PS2, which was considered the Tomb Raider killer. However, that board is being ran by Sapphire Crescent and Vinada. It does have Tova, and I don't have ill will with Tova. The other two, on the other hand, from what I can tell, hate my guts, because I had upset them so long ago, and I've cut ties with them altogether. So, that game's probably not going to get ran unless I have Tova be the one to verify those runs. So, in that regard, I'm going to have to expand to other things, and I've been looking at things like doing a survival horror game like Resident Evil. However, that thing is highly competitive, and there's no way in hell am I getting first place at all, in any way, shape, or form. I just know there's no chance of it. So that is literally going to be if I do it, it's going to be for fun. And we have a former speedrun who is also one of my mods, Mr. Silent Vid, who will probably give me his notes on things on how to do, I don't know, Chris Knife Only, or something like that. We're going to have a laugh. He'll probably talk me through it. I'll be daft enough to probably ask, hey, do you want me to stream it while we're doing it so that you can talk me through all the cobblers going forth with it? It's all to play for, it's all good fun. Time Crisis is another one that I'm looking at doing. I've promised the guys in the Time Crisis channel that I would do that, because I wanted to actually play the console version of Time Crisis 1, emulated with a Cinnamon light gun. That's the plan. That's the fun of it. That's what we're going for. And then I'm also looking at maybe doing Turok Evolution. But there's no console run, so I would be the pioneer. Anyway, ads are beginning, so I will behave myself and wait for you if you do not have a subscription on the channel. So yeah, I will. On the very few people that might, well, on the majority of people who don't have that, I will wait for you. Yeah, currently there's teething pains. I'm messing around with a new AI bot at the moment using Stream Chat AI, which is a project from Handsome Strife, who is also a Wheel of Struggle player. So, my AI bot, don't worry about it. Nothing too dangerous. Yet. Yep, it's only about 50 seconds, give or take. Wow, It's amazing how much ads are my main currency, as it were. It's the main thing that's actually getting me paid. And yet I don't get enough dollar to withdraw. Yet. Soon, just not quite yet. That'll be about 10 seconds, I believe. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Right then, welcome back, everyone. Glad to see you're still here. If you've hung around, I'm sorry for however many adverts you got, however ridiculous a number there were, so on and so forth. Let's continue with carrying on about the different speedrun games I'm going to look at. So I mentioned Tenchu's back on the menu. We're going to do that. That's happening. I'm also looking at doing Shinobito, Way of the Ninja. Now, that game is weird because it was only localized from Japanese to English in Europe. It's a European exclusive game. Europe and Japanese only. America never got it, so if I want English, I've got to play it in 50 hertz, but if I want 60 hertz, where it's like buttery smooth, I've got to play the Japanese version, and I don't think there's a translation patch for it just yet. So it's a little bit rough right now. But that is a plan. Gotta do Shinobito. I would like to actually give that a dip, see what that's like. The RNG is going to be atrocious, but I'm gonna have fun with it regardless. Turok Evolution, I mentioned, was another one that I wanted to take a look at. Currently, there is no console runs. Not a single person has set up a console run for that game. There's only been PC runners. I'm sort of wondering if it's because of the fact that no one has dared to play it on the other consoles, or if it's just because of the fact that it's faster to play it with whatever. But I've also noticed no one's played it glitchless either, so that's also an exciting thing for me, because normally, unless it's like a PlayStation 1 game that I can learn like the back of my hand, or I know is a broken game that I could kinda sort of do some of these issues where it's like glitches and whatnot, like, I could actually do glitches allowed for Primal. I after seeing how many times, like, Seth had done them, I basically was, like, perfectly fine. I could do those. That's perfectly fine. I can enjoy that. Yeah. Turok is interesting because it's an FPS game, and I wanted to try my hand at an FPS game. Time Crisis, point and shoot game, wonderful game. Loved playing it as a kid, and I think that would be another good shout for me to just play, basically. Because that game is all about speed anyway, so that seems like a logical game to do a speed run with. Obviously, survival horror and hack and slash games tend to go hand in hand for, well, just about anything speedrun worthy, as long as you're very, very fast and very, very good. So Resident Evil 1 is obviously going to be on my radar as my casual, fun to speedrun kind of game where it's like, I'm not planning on getting on the boards, and if I do, I know for a fact I'm probably going to be in the bottom. But who cares? I'm more just doing it for the fun of it, rather than for the seriousness of it. I know for a fact I am not going after Carcinogen. That guy is the literal god tier. And I ain't touching that with a barge pole. I ain't beating him with that. If by some crazy miracle that ever does happen, however, which I highly doubt, that guy basically lives and breathes the ability to speedrun. Including games that really shouldn't be speedrun, but then again, I started with a game that shouldn't be speedrun either, and still did it, so... Who am I to judge, hey? Carcinogen's a good guy, anyway. Like, I don't hold any ill will to him at all. The dude's awesome. He's badass. Not a problem. But yeah, so Resident Evil's probably a fort. Devil May Cry is also another fort for me. Recently, with the fact that I've been seeing a lot of Ratchet and Clank as well. Now, the first game, that's more my jam, because that's the one that I actually played the most. But I never played it with glitches. So, Rack 1 could be quite interesting. And then there's another game that I'm looking into. It's a racing game. Racing games tend to be a little bit weird for speedrunning, because it's along the lines of just do it as fast as you possibly can and as cleanly as you can to win the race. That's very hard to do. But that's a plan. That is a hope. That is a prayer. That is going to be something I will do. As like just for fun and games. Oh yeah, that basically takes care of speedrunning as a potential. Let's bring that back on the table. Now we get on to why you are looking at CABAL. This is probably what you're wondering what the hell that's about. It's a spooky face of essentially the computer-assisted biological augmented life form. That is what CABAL stands for as the acronym. So, fun fact, I actually voice CABAL in a mod for Tiberian Sun that is basically an FPS game called Tiberian Sun Reborn. It's an unofficial voice pack, so you can literally download it, take the voices for that, and you will just hear me say the different quotes required, like 20 minutes remaining, and stuff like that. You'll hear stuff like that, obviously with a bit more effects behind it, and so on and so forth. And basically, this leads on to the idea of essentially a VTuber concept, because yes, I would like to one day, and I'm already got someone who is willing to do the art for me, the absolute Chad that he is. He is currently doodling up a concept for the model of what I have asked for in VTubing. Now, Linux requires a few workarounds to get VTubing to work properly, but it does work, and it runs perfectly fine for the most part when it does. So the plan is eventually we will have an avatar, something that you can see and interact with, instead of just nothing to show who I am, what I am, and so on and so forth, or having to use this JPEG because I couldn't find a PNG of CABAL's face that looked that good, especially in a black background. So yeah. That actually leads quite nicely to if I go to my YouTube channel, and there's one great little thing that I can actually send. You probably just heard it then for a little bit. That's CABAL's voice that I have gone with, and that is actually the voices for that, and I have a complete reel of all of the different things that I have voiced in the community, whether it's for Command and Conquer and its many different mods, or for Open Hard Vacuum, and even a Calorie Mate skit when I first had Calorie Mate as like a little joke. I can tell you for a fact, the chocolate, the maple, and the vanilla are delicious. Cheese is weird, and fruit is abominable. I'm just gonna put that there. Yeah, just put that out there, that those are the flavors, and of them, 3 of the 5 are amazing, and the others are just I don't want to say a war crime, but they're weird. Well, actually, with the fruit one, I will declare that is a war crime. That is just grim. Putting my feelings aside on that, because I've actually tried all of them, so I do know. But yes, so voiceovers, that's a thing that I'll be doing. I want to do more of it. So anyone that knows any budding game developers, or anyone that's after voiceover reels or anything like that for, I don't know, cold reading of scripts and stuff like that, send them that link. Send them to me. I want to take a look at it. I want to hear what they've got to say. And hopefully in some form or another, if it ends up being a way that I can actually become financially stable on that, then I will be chuffed to bits. If not, I will just be quite happily living the life of a NEET for a little while. It's nothing different. I've done it for, God, as horrible as it sounds, sort of since 2019 after I finished college, and then basically spent 3 whole years with nothing. I didn't get a job, and the only sort of thing that was giving me money was Universal Credit, but they were fighting me tooth and nail for the fact that I just didn't have a job. And then when I did get the job, which happened to be that kitchen porter job that I mentioned all the way in like 2022, according to them, it was not enough. They wanted to see a proper job, and apparently scrubbing pots and pans was not a actual stable promised job. Luckily that got sorted out, and I'm now basically swimming in like a little bit of dosh, but I'm still not stable with it. So any little bit that I can get always helps. It's always a wonder to have, always great to have. Beautiful. That's a plan. So, yeah, voiceovers are a thing that I want to do more of. And I suppose while we're here, and this is something where I'm probably going to need to pull everyone who's lurking at the moment. I'm going to need to pull you out of lurk to answer me something here, because I kind of need to know. A while back when I was in college, there was a work experience thing that we were doing for the British Esports Association. It was basically, can you set up an event, and what are you going to do in that event? And we were tasked with like a team of 6 people kind of thing, between however many teams, I can't remember how many. And to all intents and purposes, my team were a bunch of miscreants. They didn't really do anything. And then when put in front of a camera, because they had to record what they are selling as a business proposition, they completely snafu'd it, as horrible as that is. And it required me, with my beautiful English accent and willingness to talk in front of a camera because I wasn't paying attention to the camera, I just wanted to get a job done. That then led to essentially me taking a spotlight that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't prepared for it. But I got an honorable mention. Our team didn't win. We came second. But I got the honorable mention. Because of my openness to speak, because of my clarity, my ability to just talk and sell you something based on how I was able to say, here are the games we are doing. We're doing, and at that time it was like League of Legends, Overwatch, what was it? Project Cars 2, because we had a race set, which I thought was really cool. StarCraft 2, like that was a big thing that I really wanted to look into. There were some fighting games that we were also looking to. I think it was Tekken that I chose because I knew Tekken was huge and required a lot more technicality than something like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. So we had that, and then we had a section dedicated to those people who didn't want to get up on stage and do that, but they wanted a little quiet area where they could do time trial games, where they could speedrun against each other. Sort of a race against the clock, who can beat one another, and that sort of thing. And that would be things like Resident Evil speedruns, like, say, Chris Knife Only. Stuff like that. Speedruns against people in a race. So you had that in the background, along with the main event. There would be refreshments, so on and so forth. I sold basically the whole thing, including merch, to the entire group of the British Esports Association. And apparently one of the staff who went to one of the college team leaders who was doing that was amazed by all of the work. It was it was a close battle, actually, for first place. Like, my team just lost it. And I think the reason they just lost it, sort of thing, right at the end, was because of those buffoons. And it was me who basically was carrying, in a similar way to how you get, like, a team who is full of noobs, and then you have that one grandmaster player who is literally carrying the noobs. So because of that, I got the special mention of the guy saying, I have no idea who that guy is, but I want to know who that guy is, because this guy deserves a podcast. I suppose technically what we're doing is, outside of a kind of log, it technically is a podcast, I guess. Just no interview or nothing like that. But is this something that you all would also be interested in. Like, this is something that it would be cool for me to do, and I'd be happy to do it. I would need to figure out a setting, a theme, and stuff like that, and how I would go about trying to bring people on board if there was going to be more than just myself talking about it. And then it'd be the subject matter that I've got to worry about as well. Like, would I just focus on games, or would you prefer something a bit more? Like, maybe, yes, I could be the king of games, as it were, but I looked at different branches of it rather than just competitive esports. Maybe I look into the speedrunning community, or the board game community, or the tabletop community, and stuff like that. And you would see, like, all of these different game types, and I'd sit down, scribe whatever I could learn from that, and either broadcast, like, yo, did you hear about this good scene that's going on right now? There's some really good players, and there's a lot of money to be had at that point, so go check it out. Like, is that something you would want? I don't know. I mean, it sounds cool in theory. Like, I think it sounds awesome. And even if it's, like, not games, maybe it's food, maybe it's books, it's like comic books or film and TV. Like, all right, I don't watch a lot of TV and I don't watch a lot of movies, but it would give me an excuse to watch more and read a bit more as well, if that were the case, if need be. Is this something that would interest you? Like, would you want to see a podcast based on those sorts of things? So that is most definitely let me know. I do want to know, and I want to hear more from that side of things. Because I think it will be cool. I think it'll be interesting. I would need to sort out how the hell I'm going to set it all up and make it happen. But the plan of it sounds interesting, and I want to see it to fruition, basically. That's my plan. But it all comes down to whether or not would you guys really want to be listening to me rambling on with friends over certain things, like in that regard, that we take particular interest in? Yeah, that's something we'll need to figure out. Unfortunately, we have 15 seconds coming in for ads, so I will wait again for you, for you to show up again. So, see you in a wee bit while the ads are playing. There'd be quite a lot to go about with that. There'll be a lot. Games are always good fun. Movies are interesting. There's a lot that could be done. There's a lot that a podcast can do. I think that would be something kind of interesting. There's a lot that the podcast could do. And would people be interested in seeing it with such variety? And then it'd be a matter of like, well, who do you bring? What do you talk about? I don't really have at the moment my ear to the ground in gaming news other than what comes out every so often. And even then, I'm a picky gamer. I only pick what I actually am interested in. So maybe that might help me diversify my pool of games I play. this might finally give people the ability to just give me games or look at games and say whether or not I like it or not. Could be interesting. Yeah. That could be a thing. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, like, podcast idea is like, is that something that someone would like to see? I think it would be interesting. I think it could be quite fun. I would have to try and find out who on earth would be willing to co-host it with me. But that could be something that could be really fun, entertaining, and might actually allow us to branch into a hell of a lot more other things that we have more interest in. So books, TV, film, just any kind of media, really. I could finally dip into that if I did go for something like that, and I could talk about all sorts of things. History is one such thing that I really enjoy. Mainly, well, I say history, antiquity era history. So, Romans, Greeks, Egyptian, Yamato kind of era sort of thing. So, like Bronze Age, Iron Age, and then sort of Dark Ages to Feudal Age kind of thing, like that kind of era. Because, yes, I refuse to call it the immigration era. It is the Dark Ages. It just sounds so much more badass, and it was a grim time during that period. So it will forever be known as the Dark Ages. Stuff like that really excites me. I really enjoy medieval era stuff as well. So maybe history as a whole is something to look at, along with perhaps philosophy and stuff. Maybe not politics. Politics might be a bit too dicey. Especially modern politics. Good God. Like, I've got a lot that I would talk about, at least from my side of the country, looking out to the rest of the world as a little Englander, but I think that would be a bit too on the nose. So I'd better not, and just sort of behave myself, as it were. But like an epoch or a symposium style thing, I think that would be quite interesting. And even looking at like, alright, if there would be points where we did look at religion kind of thing, try to look at it with an objective lens. What were they trying to achieve? If you were to take things seriously based on each religious text being essentially a book of rules that you follow to be a good and moral person. Stuff like that, if that is something that might interest people, that'd be cool. I'd be willing to do a podcast for that. But I think it'll mostly just be, what's the latest game coming out? Does it look good from your perspective? And then the co-hosts, and so on and so forth, bounce it between the two. And then say, yep, that seems pretty good to me. So that might be a plan. That'd be really, really fun, actually, doing a podcast for that. Eventually it could even look at starting to build other teams for whatever. Like, that would actually be really, really cool. So yeah, the podcast is definitely an idea. That is something that's on the radar for me. I suppose as well, with the idea of trying to get things sorted, I'm not working, and therefore I basically have no excuse as to why I don't have a schedule. Well, my excuse as to my schedule being basically higgledy-piggledy is because I am a moron who does not sleep very well. I don't sleep all that well. I struggle to sleep as it is. Autism, always a good fun thing to have, especially when your brain is way too active. But I can't settle, and it would take until sort of my morning time and literally hide in my sarcophagus that is my bed like a vampire until sort of the early hours of the evening, when I finally re-emerge from death, as it were. I'm joking, Twitch. I'm not going to do myself in. I am making a morbid joke. But yes, anyway. So outside of the fact that my sleep pattern is basically all to cock, and is going to continue probably being that way until I really try and make an active use of my time of doing something with it. I need to fix it. Quite desperately. I might add, quite desperately. So yeah, need to get on that. There might be times where I might actually look at doing other things as well. So I really should try and keep a schedule and try and like keep things active. Like there was a plan that I had for having a community event where it was like every other Sunday when I was still working, that I would just come into the game, well, come into my Discord channel, and basically just go in there, take a look around, and go, yo, this is pretty cool. Let's go play a game together. What'd you fancy? And that was kind of the point of it. Like, we would just play a community game together. Unfortunately, that stuff never materialized, as I was just too busy or doing something entirely different that I just wasn't setting. I wasn't setting a good example and making use of the event. No one was holding me to account about the event. I had nothing sort of preventing me from just not going and stuff like that. And so it was kind of along the lines of, is there any good reason why I still have them? So I've took them down for now. Because at the moment, I have no idea what I want to do as an event. Like, my scheduling setup at the moment is just completely pants. And even when trying to do things like planning ahead, which is something that my therapists have all tried to tell me to do, have 9 times out of 10 ended in tears. Because it's been along the lines of, right, okay, we go do it. We keep going on the path. We're doing pretty well. We're like halfway, actually feeling something pretty good. And then as soon as you start feeling good, that's when you start veering off the path. That was the problem I was having. So because of that, I was like, well, bugger. That's not good. I need to behave myself. But it kept slipping and slipping and slipping until I'm back here sort of staring at a desk of rubbish. Instead of trying to sort it out. I should fix it. Probably going to. Either later today or tomorrow when I wrap up. Either later today if I wrap up or tomorrow is probably when I'll do it. But yes, so scheduling at the moment until I actually can get a solid someone keep account of me and make sure that things are actually going to happen. Because I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to keep things going. I'm great at keeping everyone else to account, but not myself. I seem to be very much in the do as I say, not as I do kind of mentality with that sort of thing. So it requires me to have someone say it to me for me to do it as well. So yeah, that's fun. That's something I need to do. And because of that, I also would like to mention that my co-admin of the account, Mitsuri, wonderful woman. She did amazingly in helping me out with streaming. She restreamed on Twitch basically in a weird way because Twitch removed the hosting system and basically, quote unquote, hosted the Lotus, not the Lotus Eaters, fuck me. The Wheel of Struggle. She hosted the Wheel of Struggle on my channel, which allowed people to also watch basically me beat Quantum in the Tenchu speedrun that we were doing. We were doing the race together. So in that regard, we basically were like, yeah, that's gonna work. That'll be perfectly fine. And yeah, that was kind of what that was doing. It's not been uploaded to my channel. If you actually want to see the race, it is up on the Wheel of Struggles channel. It is Season 2 of Struggle R, Episode 2. But be sure to watch actually all of the episodes that are either coming out or are now out, as it is. Because every single one of those races is crazy. Like, there's a lot to play for. There's moments where it looked very close, like everyone was on each other's ropes. And then when someone finally smashes it out the park kind of thing right at the end to win it, it's so like, wow, that's amazing. Like, you did well. Nice one. Chuffed with that. That was brilliant. So yeah. So Mitsuri did that for me, basically, quote unquote, hosting from my channel the Wheel of Struggle for that race. And then I was able to sort out just streaming everything else back again. So big ups to her. She is amazing. Will always be amazing. And I'm so glad that I've got her with me. Hopefully we'll continue to do more. So with that in mind, 2025, for a summary of it all, it's going to be quite packed. I've still got to try and learn Linux a lot more. I'm still getting through the teething pains of it, even though I've now been running it for over a month at this point. 4 weeks, yeah, that equates to a month, give or take, average. So I'm still learning Linux. I've still got to rebuild my entire gaming library of things. So that's a thing. If I'm getting any new hardware, I'm also going to need to slap that in and get it all set up and and ready to do what it needs to do. And I need to find more work for voiceovers and stuff like that. So again, anyone who needs it, please send them the voice reel. It's right there in the chat. And anyone that basically is after a voice for anything and anything, which does include Foley sounds, I am willing and able and happy to do it. Just give us a shout and we'll try and sort something else out. If it can be turned monetarily valuable, wonderful. If not, no worries. The exposure will be enough to help network. That's really what matters most to me, if there's people I can call upon. And then, yeah, like, VTube concept, plan for CABAL. That's going to happen. That's going to be great. Which probably means that speedruns and game series and other things alike that I have planned for us That's going to keep growing and growing and growing. Oh, excuse me. That's what I get for staying up all hours of the night. And I've not been to sleep yet. So, yeah, that's basically everything, really. Sort stuff out, sort things going forward. Hopefully there will be more going on. And yeah. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I know that I am streaming at an ungodly hour because most of you are working. If you're from America or Asia, it's probably like awful, the time zone at the moment. And the UK, this is sort of around the time of when school is starting to finish up for the day. So, yes, happy Thursday for you all in that regard. I don't really have anything planned, so pretty much, yeah, that's how it's gonna be. Here's to hoping things go well. Hopefully stuff will continue to go well for everyone else's day. And yeah. That I think about does it. I've said everything I need to say or want to say, kind of thing. And I'm not really seeing all that much active chat either, so suppose I best send you off to somebody that I can share the love to. And see if there is actually anyone that is worthy of our love, so on and so forth. Why not? Let's go with her. So, we're going to raid. I think that's how you spell it. Terryberry. Terryberry. Right, gotcha. Perhaps if you know how to spell her name. Yep, that should be right. We're gonna go raid her. Say hello to her. See what she's up to. She's from the Philippines. Wonderful, wonderful person. I have no idea what on earth she's playing or if she's doing anything. She might even just be asleep for all I know. I have a feeling she's probably like BRB'd to sleep, so actually that might not be an idea. Hold on. Let's not do that then. If she is asleep. Let's actually send it to someone who is awake. That would be ideal. Tell you what, you'll do just fine. We'll try with Rennie instead. So Rennie's a lovely hen VTuber, I think it is. Or based on the eggs and whatnot that she tends to have around. I met her with other people, and yeah, that's just great. Watch someone sleep sounds mental. Yeah, I know. Welcome in, Crazy Cracker. Lovely to have you. And right as we're buggering off, basically. Right, yeah. So, with that said, battle control's terminating. We're gonna head off and go and see Rennie. And wish her the best of luck and so on and so forth. I don't have any sort of raid message or like sub-raid message, so whatever takes your fancy, just say hi and just be kind to her. She's a lovely girl. And we want to be supportive. That's what matters. But with that, I bid you adieu. Take care for now, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day. Ta-ra.